You walk into a grocery store on a Tuesday morning, normal Tuesday, except the milk is $14. The bread aisle is picked clean. Your debit card declines not because you're broke, but because the payment system is experiencing delays. There's a handwritten sign taped to the register, cash only, exact change preferred. The woman in front of you is arguing with the cashier over whether they'll accept a $50 for a $12 purchase. They won't. They can't make change. They literally do not have enough small bills in the drawer. You check your phone. The dollar index dropped another 9% overnight, third drop this week. And somewhere behind your ribs, a voice says what you've been afraid to say out loud. This isn't a dip. This is the floor giving way beneath your feet. Now. Most people at this point do the same thing. They panic buy gold, rush to the coin dealer, pay a 30% premium on a 1-ounce eagle, and feel brilliant. Gold isn't useless, but in every recorded currency collapse in modern history, Weimar Germany, Zimbabwe 2008, Venezuela 2018, Argentina 2001, gold was nearly impossible to actually spend in the first months. You can't shave a sliver off a gold bar to buy eggs. A farmer doesn't want your Krugerrand. He wants something he can hold, use, or pour into a glass. You know what was worth more than gold in Caracas in 2019? A bar of soap. The things that actually keep you alive and trading when the dollar turns to confetti are not what the financial gurus told you. And we're going to walk through all 11 of them right now. Some are obvious, a few will catch you off guard, and the last one, honestly, it might be the only thing that matters when all the other 10 run dry. Number 1. Junk silver, the poor man's gold. Forget bullion bars. What you want is what collectors call junk silver, pre-1965 U.S. dimes, quarters, half dollars, 90% silver, small denominations, and the critical part, people recognize them. During Argentina's collapse in 2001, small tradable value moved while large assets sat frozen. Nobody could break a gold coin, but a silver dime? That's a loaf of bread. That's a dozen eggs. That's a negotiation that actually closes. Grab them now while they're still priced as collectibles, not as lifelines. Number 2. The liquid bank. Shelf-stable alcohol, not your weekend habit. The single most consistent barter commodity in the history of human civilization. Every collapse, every wartime black market, everyone. Vodka ran the Soviet underground economy for decades. Whiskey was legal tender on the American frontier. A bottle of decent liquor stores indefinitely, takes up almost no space, and in a grid-down world, it doubles as a disinfectant, a painkiller, and the only morale boost left on Earth. Stock the cheap stuff for trading. Keep the good shelf for yourself. You'll need it. Number 3. Medications. The ticking clock no one watches. Here's something that should make your stomach drop. Roughly 80% of active pharmaceutical ingredients in American medications are manufactured overseas. China, India. When the dollar craters, those supply chains don't slow down. They vanish. Insulin, blood pressure meds, antibiotics, inhalers. If anyone in your household depends on a daily prescription, you need a rotating stockpile, and you needed it last month. Use the oldest, replace with new. And regarding antibiotics, fish amoxicillin and fish ciprofloxacin are chemically identical to the human versions. I'm not your doctor, and I'm not prescribing anything, but I am telling you what people figure out fast when the pharmacies go dark. Number 4. Not water. The ability to make water. Everyone stockpiles bottled water. Fine for a weekend blackout. But a currency collapse isn't a weekend. It's months, years. You physically cannot store enough water for that. What you can store is the power to turn bad water clean. Sawyer filters, unscented household bleach, 8 drops per gallon. And here's the one most people walk right past. Pool shock, calcium hypochlorite. 1 pound treats roughly 10,000 gallons. That bag costs $4 right now. Memorize that number, because when the municipal system fails, that $4 bag becomes the most valuable thing on your shelf. Number 5. Calorie bricks. Rice, beans, salt, and oil. Forget the freeze-dried survival kits with the smiling family on the bucket. the average American household has roughly 3 days of food. 3. After that, you're in a FEMA line or you're going hungry. White rice sealed in mylar with oxygen absorbers lasts 25 plus years. Dried beans nearly as long. Salt essentially forever. Cooking oil gives you the fats your brain and body will be screaming for within weeks. All 4, bought in bulk today, maybe $200. That feeds a family for months. Nothing glamorous, nothing photogenic, just not dead. Quick pause. If your brain is the kind that chews on this stuff at 2 in the morning, hit subscribe. Not for my ego, because platforms bury content like this, and the day you actually need it, you won't be able to search for it. Okay, moving on. Number 6, seeds, the only investment that multiplies itself. Not hybrid seeds from the hardware store. Those give you one harvest and quit. Heirloom, open-pollinated, varieties that produce plants whose seeds you save and replant next season and the season after that. Tomatoes, beans, squash, kale. A $10 pack of heirloom seeds is a perpetual food engine. Name one bank account that literally grows more of itself. You can't, because it doesn't exist. Number 7, fire and fuel, the old electricity. When the grid wobbles, and in a dollar crash it will, because utilities can't buy coal and natural gas with worthless paper, you need heat and cooking that don't depend on a bill you can't pay. Propane stores for years. A 20-pound tank runs a camp stove for weeks and costs about $20 today. Bic lighters? Buy 100. Ferrocerium rods, waterproof matches. Fire is 40,000 years old, and it's still the most critical technology you can own. And I'll pass along a lesson I picked up the hard way. Store propane outside, always, and keep lighters far from heat. Sounds obvious until you see what happens when someone doesn't. Number 8, hygiene, the assassin nobody preps for. This is the part that history screams at us and we keep ignoring. In every societal breakdown, more people die of disease than of violence. Every time. Cholera, dysentery, infected cuts that turn septic, and it all traces back to hygiene. Soap, toothpaste, feminine products, bleach, hand sanitizer, toilet paper. During Venezuela's crisis, a single bar of soap could be traded for a full meal. These items weigh nothing. They cost pennies right now, and they will trade at silver prices when supply chains collapse. Civilization doesn't die in a firefight. It dies in a dirty wound. Number 9, ammunition. Whether the topic makes you comfortable or not, this isn't politics, it's arithmetic. In Argentina's 2001 crash, violent crime surged over 40% within 6 months. In Venezuela, armed home invasions became background noise. Ammo holds value for 2 reasons, protection and barter. Even if you never fire a round, 9mm, .22 LR, and 12-gauge shells trade like hard currency in a destabilized economy. Compact, universally recognized, doesn't expire if stored dry. A box of 9mm costs roughly $16 today. In a collapse scenario, that same box buys a week of groceries. Ugly math. Honest math. And actually, I want to hear from you on this one. Drop a comment. What's the one item you started stockpiling first, and what made you start? I'm genuinely curious what the tipping point was for people. Sometimes, one person's answer is the wake-up call someone else needed. Number 10. Hand tools. The economy that never crashes. Power's out. Hardware store is shuttered and looted. The person with a handsaw, a set of wrenches, an axe, and a manual drill is the wealthiest person on the street. Not poetically, literally, because they can build, they can repair, they can trade labor when nobody's hiring and nobody's paying in dollars anyway. A good axe, a pry bar, a hand-crank grain mill. These aren't pioneer fantasies. They are the infrastructure of every post-collapse economy that has ever existed. The people who rebuild aren't the ones with the most money. They're the ones who can do things with their hands. Which brings us to the one I mentioned at the top, the one worth more than the other 10 combined. Number 11, relationships. Not a product, not something with a barcode. The single greatest predictor of survival in every collapse, every siege, every war is not the size of your stockpile. It's who you know, who trusts you, who will share their water because 3 months ago you shared your antibiotics. Survivors of the Bosnian War said it over and over. Lone wolves died first. The people who lived had networks, neighbors they'd spoken to before everything broke, skills they could exchange, trust built when trust was still cheap. No pile of silver or ammo replaces a neighbor who watches your door while you sleep. Now here's how all of this connects, the underlying logic most people miss. A hurricane breaks buildings. An earthquake cracks roads. But a currency collapse breaks something far more fragile: trust. The dollar isn't backed by gold anymore. It isn't backed by oil or steel. It's backed by a collective agreement that it means something. When that agreement shatters, and it has, 56 times across various nations in the last century alone, every single transaction becomes a negotiation from scratch. Every exchange demands proof of value, and every item on this list, it carries its own proof. Water filters purify water, whether the president says they're worth something or not. Seeds grow regardless of monetary policy. Silver has been money for 5,000 years before any central bank existed. These things work when belief runs out. Remember that $4 bag of pool shock from earlier? That's the whole philosophy in miniature. Intrinsic value, tangible use, no counterparty risk, no government required. So picture it, same grocery store, same Tuesday, but this time your basement has 6 months of rice and beans, your cabinet holds antibiotics and purification supplies, your closet has a pouch of silver dimes, and your neighbor, the one whose fence you helped fix last summer, just knocked on your door to share what he heard about the water situation downtown. You're not panicking, you're not begging, you're not hoping someone else has a plan. You are the plan. Preparedness isn't paranoia, it's the quiet refusal to be helpless. And the time to refuse is while the shelves are still full and the lights are still on. Share this with someone who needs to see it before they need to live it. And subscribe. The next video might cover the one thing you haven't thought of yet. And out here, what you don't know is what gets you.